I'm Ezra Levand. It's May 22nd, and you're watching Battleground. Hey, welcome back. We're back on the air with our daily lunchtime chit-chat, or super chat as they call it on YouTube. It's also on Facebook Live at the same time. It looks like there's a dozen people already watching on the Facebook feed. On the YouTube feed, there's close to 100 already. Let me tell you what we do. Besides chit-chatting about the news of the day, we take your comments. Now, I am not good enough at multitasking to look at both the YouTube comments and the Facebook comments. Yeah, maybe I'll get there. But for now, it's enough for me to focus on not getting tongue-tied, plus looking at the YouTube. And the Super Chat, which is what Google calls it, is if you chip in a couple bucks, your comment is put in bright highlighter, and it's appended to the page for a certain period of time commensurate with how much you chip in. And by the way, we get to keep that money, so it helps pays the bills. So thank you for that. Today I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about this amazing new Silicon Valley initiative, because I was worried that left-wing points of view were underrepresented on Facebook, Google, YouTube, Amazon. You know, I just thought maybe we didn't have enough voices for the progressive left. So thankfully, Netflix is now going to be Demflix. We'll talk about how they're going to bring some refreshing balance, because Hollywood is so pro-Trump, it's sick. I mean, for God's sakes, where can you go just to get some honest-to-goodness liberalism? Don't worry, people. Your unmet demand will finally be taken care of with Demflix. I'll talk to you more about that. You know, I saw on the news today, maybe you saw it also, the picture, and you can't unsee it, but it was just it was a horrific picture, but it was also beautiful and symmetrical and mathematical, and there's the hyperbola and the angles. It was sort of, it's got that right artist's eye, you know, the proportion. The picture of that man from a Frontier Air flight peeing in a perfect arc into sort of the seat pocket behind him, peeing on an airplane. I have a lot to say about that, more than you might think. Not from any personal experience, but rather a premonition of the horrors to come. And finally, maybe the weirdest story of the day. Canada's state broadcaster goes full alt-left conspiracy theory about the Jews. It's super, super, super weird. I'm going to show you this crazy Twitter storm from Wendy Mesley, Peter Mansbridge's ex, who for some reason still has a job at the CBC. Just really weird, and I'll give you my theories behind that. Let's start it off as I tell you, I like going to the live chit-chat. It is fun. I'm actually going to try and read some from Facebook Live too. Maybe I'm smart enough to do that. Let's start with the YouTube. Martin Wojtowicz says, "Hi from Ireland from a poll." Well, there you have. There you have it. It's welcome. Irish and Polish, those are two of my favorite things. And I'm not just talking about cuisine. Bob Buttons puts my name Ezra in the Jewish scare quotes. All right. VM Parliament, Ezra is the greatest Canadian. Well, that's not true. Everyone knows it's Don Cherry. The Great Mail, I'm from Israel. Well, you know, we're going to Israel. We're taking 60 or so rebels to Israel for 10 days, so that's coming up. John Zealand said, "Hello, rebels." Well, thank you. Fighting Arts of England. You go, Ezra. Show these lefties that it's facts and the truth that count, not feelings. You know what? Facts do count, and that's a conservative way of arguing. And I like Ben Shapiro's phrase, facts don't care about your feelings. But let us not kid ourselves. Feelings matter in the world of humans. And many a political campaign, many a debate has been lost by the side bearing all the facts because they have not properly taken into account the emotion and the aesthetic and the look and feel of their arguments. So yes, of course, Ben Shapiro is right that facts do not care about your feelings. They remain facts nonetheless. That phrase, hate facts. They're a fact. You might hate them, but they're a fact. Well, the feelings often rule at the ballot box. Steve G, hi from Australia. Love your work, Rebel Media. Well, thank you very much. White Knight Productions says, can we retroactively take Obama's Peace Prize since we know Iran deal was crap? Well, look, do not put too much stock in the Nobel Peace Prize. Unlike the Nobel Prize for economics or physics or math or whatever, those are judged by other experts in the field, by other chemists, physicists, economists, whatever. The Nobel Peace Prize, well, who would be the judge of that? It's an inherently political decision, and in fact it is a small committee of a parliament in Norway. I mean, if you're having trouble realizing just how crazy political that would be, imagine if a small clique of MPs in Canada, Liberals of course, small clique of Democrat congressmen were to select who the Peace Prize winner was. Of course it would be a political choice. Of course it wouldn't matter other than in their own judgment. So to accord the Nobel Peace Prize with some cosmic importance, I mean, you win the Nobel Prize in physics, you can pretty much take it to the bank that whoever won that is a brilliant, brilliant physicist. Maybe not the greatest in that year, but I don't think anyone would ever argue that if you're winning the Nobel Prize in physics, you know your stuff. But giving Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize, and of course the nominations closed just weeks after he became president. He hadn't done anything, and they said it was for his hope for peace. So it's just a political thing. Do not put stock into that. And anyone who thinks, oh, Donald Trump is going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, first of all, no, he won't. Second of all, if I'm wrong, and if he does, they'll simply use it as a moment to shame him. And third of all, what does Donald Trump care about the opinion of some media-hyped prize given out by some no-name loser Norwegian MPs? I mean, I just don't think he would even be foolish enough to accept it. So this is YouTube. I'm going to switch for 1 second to Facebook. I don't know if I have the smarts to read comments. I do. There we go. Carolyn Mackey watching on Facebook. Thank you, Carolyn. And Shanmukh Khanna. As an Indian, I would like to point out how badly the left assumes I am left because I'm of an ethnic minority. This is untrue. Most of the people living outside the West are in fact socially conservative. The lack of thankfulness and moaning from the left here really shocks me. Well, a very interesting comment from Shanmukh Khanna, who made that comment on the Facebook page. Okay, I am going to go back to the YouTube page just because it's more lively, and that's where the super chat is. But I might check in from time to time on that Facebook Live. All right, 12:07. I've been kibitzing too much. I want to start with this tweet about Barack Hussein Obama. He just won't go away, will he? He just will not go quietly into that good night. He had 8 years on the stage, and that ain't enough for him. Can we put the tweet up here? So this is from Netflix USA. President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama have entered into a multi-year agreement to produce films and series for Netflix, potentially including scripted series, unscripted series, docu-series, documentaries, and features. And look at that, 270,000 people like it. They love it. Because I was worried we weren't getting enough political scolding from the left. You know what? I was worried that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, you know, you can criticize George W. Bush, and there are definitely grounds to criticize him, but will you agree with me that after his term was up, he retired? He went away. He doesn't give political lectures. I mean, from time to time you see him popping up greeting military, either vets in hospitals or soldiers returning from afar. And so it's just like a human moment, not a partisan moment. There's little pieces about his painting, which is actually surprisingly not bad. I think he might have had some private comments that were slightly hostile to Donald Trump, but given the fact that Donald Trump just sliced and diced his brother Jeb Bush, that's pretty much, like, my point is, it's been a long time since George W. Bush was in the press saying anything. Barack Obama just can't stay out, and Michelle Obama even more so. Imagine all the scolding. You got all your, I mean, there's so much food TV, right? You got that leftist Jamie, what's his name from the UK. You got that shouty, the other shouty Brit, Gordon something something, who's always insulting people. I mean, and there's food channels. There's all different, you know, bake the cake or whatever. I think Michelle Obama, I have a prediction that she will do a food series based on crappy food that she herself doesn't eat, that she wants to force on Americans. That was one of her things as First Lady, is taking out yummy food from schools and replacing it with, like, carrots. I'm not an anti-carrot. I'm not an anti-carrotite. I'm not a carrotophobe. I'm just saying carrots are better to be seen than heard. You just have them over there. It's like parsley. It's like parsley. But she wanted to make the parsley the center of it, and no hamburgers, no pizza, no chicken fingers. Well, that's half the fun of high school. So I predict you're going to have a Michelle Obama cooking channel. I predict you're going to have a Barack Obama, I don't know, what's he going to talk about? He's going to talk with all his buddies, you know, I don't know, maybe he'll have a political affairs show. He'll have someone from Cuba, someone from Iran, maybe Dmitry Medvedev. Can we call up that Medvedev pass on message to Vladimir? I can imagine Barack Obama bringing back the old crew, bringing back all the friends that he was supposed to have as his legacy. The Iran deal, opening the embassy in Havana. Isn't that funny? When Barack Obama opened the embassy in a more formal way in Havana, Cuba, the media called it, what was the word they chose? Historic. Not even controversial, just historic. Even though Cuba remains the most repressive regime in the Western Hemisphere, that's obvious, but even left-wing groups like Reporters Without Borders say so. Even right now, the Cuban government uses a sound weapon like a radiation weapon at the U.S. and Canadian embassies there, and has damaged the health of diplomats and their families. So it's a grotesque regime. It's linked closely with Venezuela that is colonizing, really. It's an oppressive regime. When Barack Obama opened the embassy in Havana, it was called historic. When Donald Trump moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, it was at best called controversial, but more often called outrageous. I imagine a show. You know, they said scripted, that means like something, unscripted is reality TV. Isn't it funny? He used to criticize Donald Trump for reality TV. Now he's getting into it. I imagine, I'm just daydreaming here, that Barack Obama will have a panel. He'll have Ahmadinejad from Iran over there. He'll have Raul Castro. I can't remember if he's still alive. No worries, they'll prop him up. Weekend at Bernie style over there. And I think just for a little bit of sexy drama, they will have a Russian, because all this Russia collusion business aimed at Donald Trump. The only proof I've seen with my eyes of collusion, trickery, and backroom deals with Russia is not from Donald Trump. It's from Barack Obama, and this moment, right before the 2012 election. Without further ado, my friends have found the clip. Here is the collusion video that you'd think would be shown every night, but it's not. Maybe we'll see this on Netflix.
My last election, yeah. After my election, I have more flexibility. Yeah, I understand. I transmit this information to Vladimir. I understand.
I transmit this message to Vladimir. I genetically cannot watch that video without responding to it with a Russian accent. That was what they call a hot mic moment. The two leaders were mic'd up, and they either forgot they had the mic on or they didn't realize the mic was live. So you heard him there. He said, "This is my last election. Just let me get the election out of the way, and then I'll have more flexibility. I transmit message to Vladimir." And what happened? Well, after that, we saw that Russia invaded Ukraine with no ramifications whatsoever. We saw Russian mercenaries shoot down a jet over Ukraine with no ramifications whatsoever. If that was the Iranians or the Libyans who did that, we would call that a terrorist incident and go on the warpath. We saw Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, give a speech in St. Petersburg for $500,000, and Russia bought 20% of all American uranium. So we have actual proof of things that happened, actual proof of money going to the Clinton Foundation, money going to the Clintons. We have Barack Obama caught on tape saying, just let me get elected and I'll have all the flexibility you want, and Medvedev saying, I transmit to Vladimir. And you're saying, and after a year of hunting, you can't find anything on Donald Trump. My point is, maybe we'd be able to see the gang get back together on this new Demflix. I'm so glad. Because where am I going to get my fix? I mean, whether it's Hollywood, the nightly news, the daily papers, all the blogs, the comedy in the evening, or or social media. I can't get enough of the Democratic line. Thankfully, Netflix will be there to provide me a streaming source of leftism. Let me check the time. It's 12:14. What do we do? Well, every weekday, I come here, I chit-chat for an hour, I take your comments. I'm going to go to Facebook for a minute read a comment there if there's a new one, and then I'm going to come right back on YouTube. Facebook, Caroline Mackey, the nice thing about Netflix is there's a thumbs down button. Well, yeah, but I mean, they're going to censor that just like Twitter and Facebook ban comments that they don't like either. Michelle Aldiajo, socialism is evil. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and that's, you can say that morally and philosophically, or you can look at its results and say so pragmatically. All right, I'm back on the YouTube page. Let me read a few comments. Petra Heinrichs, I transmit Vladimir. That's just so funny. Could you imagine if Donald Trump were caught on tape saying, after I just have to get through this election, but then I'm going to make huge concessions to you, and if the other side said I transmit message, we would see that every day. But how many of you have not seen that clip before? Of Barack Obama saying, just let me get through this election, then I'll have more flexibility. How many of you have not seen that before? And do you not think that that is a relevant video? Rebecca Boyd, thank God I don't have Netflix. Well, look, you're surrounded by it all the time. Hillary Clinton, by the way, I'm surprised she doesn't have a deal on Netflix. She just will not go quietly into that good night either. By the way, she's lost twice. I mean, don't forget, she lost to Donald Trump in 2016, but she lost to Barack Obama in 2008. She ran for the Democrat nomination. She had that thing all sewn up, but no. So she's lost twice, and she just won't take it easy. I don't know why. I don't know why she won't retire. Maybe it's the people around her just can't let go. Maybe she just feels this obsession that she can't let go. I know every politician has ambition, but what's so interesting about her, and here we are a year and a half after she lost, the blame storming and the bitterness and the self-reference, it's quite something, and the Democrats just can't quit her either. All right, I want to play some ads. By the way, I'm not sure if we've closed off sales for Rebel Israel. I think actually this week is the final week. So if you're interested in coming with me, Katie Hopkins, John Cardillo, Tanvir Ahmed, and Sheila Gunn-Reid to Israel, we're going for 10 days. We're going next month. We have tickets to the Israeli Air Force Graduation Air Show, which is considered the hot ticket in town. Not only do the new Air Force cadets get their wings, but some of the most awesome hardware in the sky flies around. I don't know if they'll be flying their new F-35 jets, which I understand they have in service over there. Here's a quick ad for our Israel trip. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I haven't been to Israel in, I guess it's been just a year. It felt like work when I was over there because we're going to produce so many videos, the Rebel team, but of course for our Rebel enthusiasts, that would be you. It's not work at all. It's a vacation, but it's, you know what, I got to tell you, maybe it's my old age. When I was young, like many young people, I just traveled, I couldn't get enough. I wanted to see the world. I didn't care what it was like. I would just go. Youth standby was an airplane thing back then. You could travel super cheap if you went at the last minute in coach. These days, I like to travel with a bit of an editorial or political component, sort of like political tourism. Not troublemaking, but just I'd like to talk to someone in politics. I'd like to talk to someone in journalism. I'd like to have an expert. Like last time we went to Israel, for example, we had Danny Tirza, the retired Israeli military commander, who built the border fence between the Arab towns and the Jewish towns. He gave us the tour of the fence, explaining why it's a wall here and why it's a fence there and how the system works. To me, I mean, going to Israel, yes, there's a religious and a historical thing and just a eye-popping tourism side, but for me, without that political side, I get bored. So if this is the week to sign up, I'm absolutely sure that by next week we're going to close it off. If you're interested, go to revelisrael.com. I see a little super chat from Ezra's First Irregulars. Keep up the good work, Ezra. Well, thank you very much for that friendly note. It's 12:20, so we're already a third done, and I haven't even stretched my legs yet today. I want to talk about Starbucks. And Starbucks is such a virtue signaling company. Why? Is it because it started in Seattle, sort of the lefty hipster city? Is it because it's trying hard to overcome its corporate image? I mean, Starbucks is such a mighty corporate force. It's crushed so many corner coffee shops, independent coffee shops. It's so corporate. It's so expensive that maybe as an antidote to its own multinational corporate billionaireism, it overcompensates by being such a social justice warrior. That's a typical move. I mean, in Canada, who's the most obsequious social justice warrior in the corporate world? That would be Galen Weston III, the inheritor of the Loblaws grocery store chain. He's so oleaginous on screen, talking about how socially conscious he is. And wouldn't you know it, it turns out he was caught rigging the price of bread for years. He cheated the poorest Canadians out of billions of dollars price rigging bread, of all things. You're stealing bread from the mouths of poor. That's my point. You got a billionaire on TV. He pretends he's a social justice warrior. In real life, he's a hypocrite. He's just a greedy, thieving tycoon. I would say the same thing about Al Gore. In real life, he took, $100 million from the state broadcaster of Qatar, an OPEC dictatorship. That's oil money. And in public, he really cares about greenhouse gases. In private, his riches came from an OPEC dictatorship. And so you have it with Starbucks. That's my operating theory for Starbucks. They've crushed independent corner store coffee shops. They've crushed affordable coffee by you've got to have the Starbucks snob coffee or you're just not cool. And so they make up for it by being ultra leftist. And their CEO is he's the worst. He's the worst. Anyway, as I think you know, they recently had a set to when someone who was not a customer came in and said, I demand to use the bathroom. And someone said, sorry, it's for customers only. And the person who demanded to use the bathroom said, well, that's a race thing. You're a bunch of racists. So every Starbucks in America, in Canada too, was shut down for a day when they had sort of racial sensitivity lessons, because apparently asking to use the bathroom is, I don't know, is that a black thing? I think that's a human thing. I have to go pee thing. And so what's the solution? Well, the solution from corporate head office is that now anyone, customer or not, will be able to come into Starbucks and use the bathroom as if it's a public bathroom, and anyone, regardless of their customer, can just hang out there. So here we have it, Starbucks newsroom. Because all the best coffee shops have newsrooms. That's what when I'm faced with coffee alternatives, who's got the newsroom? Okay, Starbucks, let's read it. Purpose: we are committed to creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. Well, that's not true. You're a shareholder rate of return company like all corporations. This policy is intended to help maintain the third place environment in alignment with our mission to inspire and nurture the human spirit. One person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. Hey, everybody, come on in. Now, it reminds me of oil companies when when BP, which stands for British Petroleum, tried to rebrand and said, no, it doesn't stand for British Petroleum. This stands for Beyond Petroleum. We really don't like petroleum, guys. And then their Deepwater Horizon rig in the Gulf of Mexico blew up. When people claim they're about something other than making money for shareholders, they're lying to you. And the CEO of Starbucks, who says our purpose is to create warm human spaces, no, that's for families and churches and NGOs and clubs and bowling leagues and Rotary clubs and PTAs to do. That's not what for-profit mega corporations do. And the minute you tell me that's your goal is the minute I know not only are you a liar, but you think I'm stupid. I want to read to you a quote from a Reddit of a Starbucks employee. Let's put that up on the screen. The story on Fox News, the Starbucks employees' customers express concern over new policy. I can't see how this will work. You don't say. Here, let me read this. Someone claiming to be an employee who works at a store in the Loop in Chicago said they hate the new policy because the store bathrooms have turned into a hub for drug activity. Quote, "We haven't been allowed to change our bathroom codes since April." Those are the little lock codes, like punch in 4 numbers. "So almost all the junkies and homeless people know the code now. But once a week we find needles, drug baggies, blood all over the toilet or walls," the user wrote. Yeah, I'm going to go further and say, well, what if someone wants to have a nap in there? What if, I'm just making things up, it's a closed room? What if some hobos want a place to get a little intimate, get a little handsy with each other? And, you know, frankly, better than in a park. And if those idiots at Starbucks HQ, by the way, can I tell you a very quick Starbucks story? Let me check the time. It's 12:26. I got time for a Starbucks story. I went to China 10 years ago. I went to the Great Wall of China. And can you believe it? I mean, the Great Wall of China is very long, but where I went, not far from Beijing, there was a Starbucks. And I had to check because there's so many counterfeit everythings. There's counterfeit, any brand, people just, you know, they would have like a Starbucks with an O or something. But no, this was a real Starbucks. And I thought, how can Chinese people afford a Starbucks? Because the prices there are the same as the prices here. Like, how can you afford, you know, $8 for a fancy coffee? Well, that's the thing. It's for the new super rich, and going to Starbucks is proof that they're Western cool. But this Starbucks, and we went there for a drink and for a bite to eat. The food was shipped in from Beijing, meticulous, sealed, so it actually had an extremely high hygiene standard, which is why, I mean, you go to China, of course you want to eat on the street and get that Chinese experience, but after a while your tummy says, please only eat at Western style restaurants, because they are obsessive about hygiene. At least that's my experience 10 years ago. I haven't been back to China since. Haagen-Dazs, KFC. I mean, the only face you see more of than Chairman Mao up there is Colonel Sanders. I might be out of date, but back then, these Western-style stores were so eager and excited, and it was often a Western sort of hirer teacher. I want to tell you about the Starbucks bathroom at the Great Wall of China 10 years ago. Okay, so we just finished hiking the Great Wall of China. It was extremely hot, like 30 degrees Celsius, what's that, almost 100 Fahrenheit. Sweaty, hot, very thirsty, very tired, hungry. Go to Starbucks, air-conditioned, hygiene, get some Western-style food, and sure, you're paying Western prices, but who cares? You're a Western tourist. Okay, so you use the bathroom. You go to the Starbucks bathroom in China. I'm almost done my story. And it's just like a bathroom here in North America. And you go in and you use it. And you notice that outside the bathroom when you come up, there is a staffer paid, I don't know how many yuan a day. I don't know, like paid $1 a day maybe. And they're wearing a Starbucks outfit, and they are stationed outside that bathroom. And after every single person leaves the bathroom, that custodian went in and cleaned the bathroom from top to bottom after every single customer. That's a true story. To which, as a Western germaphobe tourist who's carrying my Purell with me, you say, thank God for this multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation with strict rules and procedures for everything, including workplace health and safety. After I went in, used the bathroom, the attendant cleans it 5 minutes later, the missus uses it, or maybe she went first, I don't know. Custodian cleans it. That custodian did nothing all day but keep that Chinese Starbucks bathroom so clean, you wouldn't do it, but you could eat in there. And why? Because if you've been to China or many parts of the third world, they're not exactly used to our Western style of plumbing. I'm not going to gross you out because I know it's lunchtime on the East Coast. I'm not going to tell you more details. My point is, Western tourists like me loved the ultra hygiene, but not every Chinese person who was going there knew how to use those particular facilities. And my point is, North American Starbucks bathrooms are now going to be, I was going to say the shittiest, but I don't want to swear. I'm going to say the crappiest bathrooms in the entire Starbucks chain. Can you put up the meme from Dave Berg? You know Iowa Hawk Blog? He's so funny. The bathroom is ankle deep in hobo poop. Please clean it up, Zach. This is taken from one of the race-based protests against Starbucks. Just hold this up. I will never get tired of looking at this picture because you know his name is Zach. And you know he loves soy milk. And you know he's voting for Clinton or maybe even Bernie Sanders. And you know he dabbles in vegetarianism. And you know he's a male feminist. And you know if he can afford a car, it's an Uber. And you know he has a Black Lives Matter pin, even though he's so white he's pink. And he works at Starbucks because, of course. So he is so impeccably liberal, like Starbucks is, but you can trump all those things just by playing the race card. And I don't know what that guy was really shouting at him through that megaphone. That megaphone is 3 feet from his face. And Dave Berg, Iowa Hawk Blog, oh my God, if you're not following Dave Berg on Twitter, you really have to. I'd call him a little bit conservative, a little bit old-fashioned, but just, can you put it up there just for one more second? I just want to read the caption again. The bathroom is ankle deep in hobo poop. Please clean it up, Zach. Over. Okay, you can take it down now. And my point is, in China, they really do have someone who cleans it up, but in North America, they don't. And I don't know, if I was Zach, I don't know if I would, you know, the whole point of working at Starbucks is it's sort of cool for people who think that's cool. I'm not going to call it a prestige job. I mean, you're really just a barista. I'm not knocking it. Every young person should work as a waiter, as I have. Every young person should work as a dishwasher. Learn basic work skills. Learn being submissive to a customer and obedient, and just, work with your hands and do dirty stuff and maybe decide you want to move on up in life. But I don't think Zach, if that guy's name was Zach, would want to work at Starbucks if his job included cleaning out druggie needles and hobo poop. And we had a little premonition of what things are going to be like in Canada. Now, this is viewer discretion advised. I'm going to show you the future of Starbucks. What I'm about to show you, and my American friends might not have seen this, but my Canadian friends have. Don't put it up yet. Let me prompt it a little bit better. In Canada, we have a chain called Tim Hortons, which is sort of a more middle-class version of Starbucks. And someone really wanted to use the bathroom, really wanted to use the bathroom, and they were denied the bathroom. This is your last chance to click away, because this is going to get shocking. Here is closed circuit TV from a Tim Hortons in Canada. Turn away now. Click away now, because you're about to see something you cannot unsee. This is what happened in Canada. Yeah, some viewers might find upsetting. Okay, so there's someone. Let me have the bathroom key. Let me have the bathroom key. Give me the bathroom key. No, you're not a customer. Give me the bathroom key. Zach, give me the bathroom key. No, Zach, no, you're not black. You're white. You're just somebody. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm taking a napkin. I'm dropping trowel. They're coming down now. I'm calling the police. Okay, look away. This is your last minute. Oh, ow. I'm so sorry, people. I was so sorry I showed that to you. Now that was a horrific incident. I'm just trying to fight my gag reflex here. That was considered bad behavior in Tim Hortons. I'm not going to describe what you saw because you saw it. I'm not going to show it again. I gave you, what, 3 warnings, and then we had a written warning on the screen. You were warned. I was warned by me. I think police were called. They probably shut down the whole store and scrubbed everything. You probably saw that Tim Hortons kid on the cell phone calling his mom, calling the police, fire department, calling the hazmat team, calling pest control, calling some industrial cleanup crew, I don't know, but he was calling for help, as in, he knew that was not normal. He knew that is not how Tim Hortons can be if Tim Hortons wants to be in business. That is a tape of the horrors of man. That is not an instructional video. That is not a staff memo on how to do it. But that is the future of Starbucks. And you know what? From a virtue signaling lefty company, it looks great on them. May you enjoy your hobo poop, your needles and used condoms, and it'll be proof, if anyone does go to these Starbucks, it'll be proof that they really, really mean it. I, myself, prefer the Chinese Starbucks where they have an attendant outside the bathroom that goes in and cleans it literally after every occasion. And sure, you give them a 1 yuan tip, which at the time was 15 cents. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I need to brush my teeth and rinse my mouth and have a shower and just generally forget about what we just saw there. I'm going to take some comments. Did I miss a super chat? John Singus, I'm here for the bathroom stories. I want to tell you, I have never told that story before. And the story is not about me in the bathroom. The story is about how Starbucks George Costanza, the joke was he wanted to, I think this is before the age of apps. Is this a real Costanza thing, or was this like some fan fiction later on that he wanted to create like a guide to the best bathrooms in New York, best public bathrooms? I mean, that's such a Costanza thing on Seinfeld, right? That's really, really silly. But I would definitely vote the Great Wall of China Starbucks bathroom as perhaps the finest public bathroom I've ever been into in my life. It's got the Ezra Levant seal of approval. And would they let a hobo in? I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing. They would sterilize that place clean as a whistle after the hobo was gone. That's a fact. Let's take a quick look. There's one more super chat that I missed because I was so engrossed. Being the... As is first to regulars, £1.99. You freeloaders, I'm throwing $3 at a time. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, what's the super chat? I'll pay closer attention to it. The super chat is when you make a comment and you chip in a few bucks. That money goes to pay our bills. And you can chip in $2 or $5. I saw someone chip in Mexican pesos the other day. We had Swedish kroner. And it ensures that I see your comment because it's in bright colors. And it also ensures everyone else sees it and it helps us pay our bills. I'm going to take 1 second to check out the Facebook page, if I haven't forgotten how. Wendy Yan says the media is so left and the rhetoric is so divisive and poisonous that anyone with half a neuron firing will distance himself from these truth deniers. Well, you could be referring to so many different things that I have said in the last 10 minutes. Let's go back to the YouTube page here. Jake Harry says, I only get 50 characters on Super Chat, 200 on normal. Well, actually, the amount of characters you get on Super Chat is proportionate to how much dough you put in, and that's just how the system works. I read even the shortest Super Chats. The other day, someone chipped in $50 on Super Chats, so that lots of text, and it stayed up for the whole time. It's a new technology. I just sort of saw it online. I thought, what's that? And then I said, well, does the channel get the dough? Well, let's do that just for fun, and I should take questions anyways. All right. What's worse than a bathroom incident at Starbucks? Because the thing is, even at Starbucks, you can leave, right? You can just walk out the door. Like if I were in that Tim Hortons, when things were going down, when things were getting crazy, when it hit the fan. If I were in that Tim Hortons, I know what I would have done. I would have covered the eyes of my children of tender years. I would have told the missus, look away. It's like Medusa. Do not look directly at the sun. It's like if you have a solar eclipse. Do not look at the sun, I would say. It would be like Lot turning back to Sodom and Gomorrah. Do not, you will turn to a pillar of salt. So I would hide the eyes of everyone I cared about. And I would say, leave this den of ill repute. Walk away and do not return. But what if you're in a place and there are no doors? Or at least there's doors and you're at 35,000 feet. Which brings me to the last part of this bathroom saga, this trilogy, Starbucks, Tim Hortons, and now Frontier Air. And I bring you the case of the man who peed in a plane. Take a look.
Disbelief for one Frontier passenger who snapped this picture of another passenger she claims was urinating on another passenger's seat.
He took off his seatbelt and began urinating on the seat in front of him. I then screamed.
It all started mid-air on a Frontier flight heading from Denver to Charleston. The woman claims the man seemed intoxicated and started making inappropriate comments to the women he was sitting next to. Then things escalated.
She screamed. She just said, if you touch me again, I'll kill you. And then all the flight attendants just came and got the man out of that seat.
Duh. Save it for Starbucks. What are you doing peeing on a plane? That is so dumb and disrespectful. And where are people going to run? You put that pecker away and you take it to Starbucks where they approve of that sort of thing. All right, I promise you I am done. The bathroom jokes, but the thing is, none of them were jokes. They're all in the news. And Starbucks has embraced it as corporate policy. All right, let's change the subject. I want to show you an extract from my show yesterday where I sat down with a hero of mine. I was way too giddy. My friend Conrad Black has a new book on Donald Trump. Take a look. I note that America is booming. Unemployment is low. It's at record lows for blacks and Hispanics.
And women.
Companies are reshoring. Apple repatriated $250 billion. Manufacturing's coming back. And he actually hasn't, other than his new squabble with China, he actually hasn't done anything other than use the bully pulpit yet.
Deregulated to encourage investment and change the psychology. I mean, half of economics is psychology, and he's changed that. The soft point is workforce participation's at 62.8%, and it should be a bit higher. But you just remember on his trade thing, he's all for trade. What he doesn't like are trade imbalances. He wants the United States to export more rather than the others to export less to the U.S., as long as it's fair trade. I mean, let's just look in one sentence at Mexico. They had a trade surplus with the U.S. of $65 billion. They were facilitating the entry into the United States of 500,000 completely unskilled people. They may be good people, but unskilled people illegally every year. And they were enticing American factories away to, just inside the Mexican border, and then encouraging them to export back into the U.S., creating unemployment in the United States, and encouraging them to retain their profits in Mexico so they didn't pay taxes in the U.S. Now, you don't blame the Mexicans for doing what they can, but the United States doesn't have to put up with that. It's 20 times as powerful a country as Mexico, and that's not fair trade.
There you have it. Conrad Black. The book is Donald Trump, a president like no other, and it is for sale on Amazon right now. I really enjoyed the conversation. I was too giddy. You know what? There's two guys. When I interview them, I just go full fanboy. Conrad Black is one of them, and Jordan Peterson is the other. I'm so excited, especially Jordan Peterson. We got to have to catch up with him again. He's just been on this magnificent tour. He had 5,000 people go to an event the other day. That's bigger than a lot of rock bands do. I mean, sure, the absolute A-list rock bands sell out a 40,000 seat stadium, but when you're getting 5,000 people in a room, that really is rock star status. No wonder the rest of the academics hate him. They hate him ideologically, and they hate the fact that he's popular and their ideas are not. Ezra's First Irregulars has a super chat. What's Ezra's take on the royal wedding? I would say that I am a monarchist. I know a lot of my Republican friends don't like that, especially Americans. But the reason I like the monarchy is because of tradition and constancy and continuity and reserve and tradition and honor and rules and history and culture. Everything that the modern progressive left is trying to wipe out. I also like the fact that there is some sort of power that's held in reserve in case our politicians get too crazy. Our friends in the United States have the Second Amendment. They hold the power in reserve to save them from an overweening state. That is, they have a gun. And the very purpose of the Second Amendment is if the government gets crazy, well, the people can take it back. In the British parliamentary constitutional democracy, the Queen is the Queen of Canada too, of course. The hope is, if the politicians get crazy, you have this family who has been charged for all time with keeping the country, and they are above politics, and they make a constitutional move, I don't know, once in a generation, and save the country. And they stay nonpartisan, they stay apolitical, they do sort of good works all the time, but once in a while they step in. I like that. And it also removes some of the pomp and circumstance out of the politicians and into this royal family. So the politicians are not the royals are the royals. Outdaft UK says Starbucks logo, it's a mermaid swimming in pee. Well, I wouldn't have thought that until now, and I would have think that was a childish joke until now, but unfortunately that is their, seems to be their big old plan. Hey, I want to play one more clip. My friend John Cardillo has a show every day called Off the Cuff. John Cardillo is a former NYPD cop. He's based in Florida, and he has interesting things to say about law and order, terrorism, security, and these days he is on a tear about the way police and the security apparatus and intelligence have been revealed under the Obama administration to have cooked up a scheme against Donald Trump, planted an informant there. I don't know what his show is on today, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's on that. Here's a show promo from John Cardillo.
Today on Off the Cuff Declassified, the Obama administration's spying scandal on the Trump administration heats up. I'll tell you all about it. National security reporter Jordan Schachtel joins me to discuss the latest on Mueller's probe. A Baltimore area police officer was killed while the liberal media continues to vilify cops on behalf of criminals. And American history continues to be called racist.
Oh my God, it's 12:47. I think I took up 46 minutes with bathroom jokes. I swear that is not normally what I talk about. But with Starbucks basically saying, our bathrooms are now homeless shelters? How can you not? Hey, put that Dave Berg graphic up just one more time. Just because I've looked at it 10 times now, that's 11. The bathroom is ankle deep in hobo poop. Please clean it up, Zach. If that's your corporate brand, run with it. Doesn't really surprise me. It's the logical extension of everything else Starbucks stands for. I just have never seen a company actually do that before. It'll be quite something to watch. There's one more story I want to hit, and it's so weird. I've sort of pushed it for last because I don't even know how to talk about it. It's a conspiracy theory. Now, there's conspiracy theories all the time. My general take on conspiracy theories is avoid them. You don't need to talk about them. The world is crazy enough. You can go with conspiracy facts. You don't need conspiracy theories. And by conspiracy fact, I mean, we see people conspiring to do awful things out in the open. There's so many open secrets that just you need to report or point a finger at. You don't need to cook something up in your own mind. I think the appeal of a conspiracy theory is it makes the theorizer feel like they have some secret knowledge, that they have some inside track, or some super wisdom that others lack, a cosmic explanation, often that makes them feel better and appeals to their own prejudices. I'm not saying that conspiracy theories are never proved. I'm just saying there's so many conspiracy facts out there. Don't indulge in conspiracy theories. So I'm loath to give gas to conspiracy theories on the right, and I find that conspiracy theories on the left are commonplace. The same people who criticize conspiracy theories on the right serve them up on the left all the time. And so I bring to you Canada's state broadcaster and one of their C-list talents. Her name is Wendy Mesley. To be honest, I think that the only reason she's still there is nepotism. There's so much nepotism at the CBC. Who slept with who married who's the son of whom. We had Evan Dyer. We showed a clip from him the other day, his dad, Gwyn Dyer. I mean, of course it's all in the family. It's like a job you pass down from father to son because it's a government job. Wendy Mesley is one of Peter Mansbridge's exes, and she's still there. Let me show you a series of tweets she did. Oh, just like some crazy, crazy woman. Here's the first one. Thread. Are there ties between former Prime Minister Stephen Harper and House GOP mega donor Sheldon Adelson? Yeah, they're friends. Sheldon Adelson was a driving force behind Donald Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv and the decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. Ken Vogel says Adelson is very close to Trump. Okay, hold it there for a second. I don't think Wendy Mesley knows this because I don't think she does any of her own research. I think she has a few millennial staff that, basically write everything for her, and she's really a bingo caller, as Frank Magazine would say. She just reads what's in front of her. But every U.S. administration for 25 years has been in favor of moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The last time it was voted on, I think just last year, was 90-0 in the Senate. So the move to Jerusalem was not a Trump thing. I mean, he's the one who actually did it, but it's been American policy for decades. Of course, Sheldon Adelson supported it, but so did many others. Is Sheldon Adelson a big donor? Sure he is. But there's a real Jews conspiracy here. Let's get back to these things here. The next tweet. The billionaire casino magnate is a top donor to the Republicans. He pledged an additional $30 million to the GOP last week, just as the embassy was being moved and Trump bailed on the Iran nuclear deal. So it's a clear implication that Jewish money bought the foreign policy of the United States. Again, if you have been following Donald Trump as long as I have, you will know that long before he became president and long before he threw his hat in the ring, and you can search Donald Trump's old tweets. You know how to do that? Go to Twitter, and in that type real Donald Trump, and then Iran. And you can see that Trump was tweeting about Iran basically since the day he joined Twitter. And yeah, does Sheldon Adelson agree with him? Yeah, so does Chuck Schumer, the Democrat senator from New York. So do most Americans. And Barack Obama knew that there was no way he would get this Iran deal through the Senate, so he didn't put it to the Senate. It's not even a treaty. It was like a private agreement. But to Wendy Mesley, this expert from Toronto, this is proof of a Jewish money conspiracy where Sheldon Adelson gave $30 million to Donald Trump, so he moved the embassy and opposed the Iran deal. And I guess he got in a time machine and convinced Donald Trump to take both of these positions many years ago, too. Next tweet. This is just crazy conspiracy theory. And here she brings it on home, and now you understand why she's indulging in this alt-left Judeophobia. Former Prime Minister Stephen Harper put his name to an ad in the New York Times congratulating Trump for making the right decision on Iran. Oh, well, Yeah, by the way, so did a dozen other former world leaders, including from Europe and Australia. But you keep going. Put the next one up. Do we have any more? It's just crazy. The ad was sponsored by the Friends of Israel, of which Harper and U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton are founding members, and Adelson funds. Well, there you have it. So Stephen Harper supports Israel also because after leaving office, he joined an advocacy group. So that explains why in 2006, when Stephen Harper was first elected, he supported Israel, because you see, Stephen Harper took that Adelson money and went back in a time machine 12 years to 2006. And that's why I remember when he stood up against the United Nations and La Francophonie in particular for condemning Israel in its war against Hamas and Hezbollah. Wendy Mesley has finally cracked the Da Vinci Code here. Stephen Harper's support for Israel, which goes back to before he was in office, but certainly in 2006, is because he joined a board. I need strings, and I need a cork board, and I need lots of flow charts, and I need everything in all caps and exclamation points, and I need things cut out of newspapers and stuck there, because I got to string this all together. Stephen Harper's lifelong support for Israel is because 3 years after he left office, he joined a group with Sheldon Adelson. Keep putting this craziness up here. In 2016, Stephen Harper was invited to Adelson's 44,000 square foot mansion in Las Vegas, because you know the Jews live large, where he was the guest of honor at a private gathering for Jews. The Jews. Adelson is a rich Jew. Jew. And I bet they served jujubes. And you know, this Ken Vogel says it fits Adelson's MO to recruit foreign leaders who align with his view. Yeah, Wendy, Stephen Harper is not a foreign leader. He's an ex-foreign leader. One more tweet here. Stephen Harper echoed his support for Israel during a speech at a Quebec synagogue. You know, that's where the Jews meet. And they talk about Israel. And I don't think Stephen Harper would have talked to those pro-Israel Jews in 2018 if it weren't for that Adelson money. Last tweet here by this kook. What a kook! In the last couple of months, Stephen Harper has come out of political hibernation to reiterate his stance on foreign policy issues. He became chair of the International Democratic Union and International Alliance of Center-Right Parties. There's one more. Let's just read it here. Within weeks of Stephen Harper taking on his new role at the IDU, his successor, Conservative Party leader Andrew Scheer, said if his party wins the federal elections expected next year, he'd recognize Jerusalem as capital of Israel. Aha! We found it! We found it. You see, Andrew Scheer is with the Conservative Party, and the Conservative Party, Stephen Harper used to lead it. And after Stephen Harper was done leading it, he went to this Jewish place in Vegas, and they spoke at a Jewish synagogue. And the Jews, surprisingly, believe in Jerusalem, these Jews and their super wealthy Jewish 44,000 square foot Jew houses. And you see, Wendy Mesley connected the dots and the Jews, because the Jewish money support the Jewish state, and Andrew Scheer, because he's a conservative, did so as well. Right? I'm sorry, Wendy Mesley, you were a kook. You were an alt-left conspiracy theorist. Smacking of anti-Semitism, it really, between your really gross plastic surgery and your Jew watch, Jewspiracies, you're not a lot different than David Duke. That's another guy who's just got too much Botox and just talks about the Jews. It's the Jews. You're crazy. You're crazy. I don't think she would come up with such a crazy conspiracy theory by herself. I think it was fed to her by Gerald Butts, the PMO. It really feels that way. It's such a crazy conspiracy theory. It reminds me of when Gerald Butts sent out Daniel Jean, Trudeau's national security advisor, to tell the media that Sikh terrorist who was accompanying Justin Trudeau in India, he was planted there by India. This feels like the same thing. It's weird. No one else normal would say it. But give it to Wendy Mesley, the state broadcaster. She'll say literally anything Gerald Butts wants her to say, because Gerald Butts is in a panic right now because his pro-Hamas, anti-Israel policies are alienating the Jewish vote in Montreal, and a couple of Jewish MPs, Anthony Housefather and Mark Mendocino, who represents the Jewish riding in Toronto, they have come out against Trudeau, and this is way of Gerald Butts fighting back. It's really weird. Trying to pin the Conservative Party on Stephen Harper is really weird. It's embarrassing. It's an alt-left conspiracy theory. But it's sort of gross. And it's been a couple days, and I'll have to search a little bit more, but I have not seen a single leader of the Jewish community in Canada, any anti-defamation group, condemn this bizarre conspiracy theory by the Liberals. And I would call it an anti-Semitic trope. I mean, if David Duke had said the same thing and published it on Jew Watch, would it be any different? 44,000 square foot Jewish home and the Jewish Republic is Jew. I really don't see the difference, other than this comes from Gerald Butts, whereas David Duke comes from the KKK. It'd be interesting to me to see if any Jewish leaders condemn this, or if they're just, really they don't care because, they're liberals at heart. It'd be interesting. Well, that's the show for today. It was a very strange show. We started off talking about Starbucks bathrooms, and we wound up talking about a really kooky, anti-Semitic, trope-filled conspiracy theory on the state broadcaster. That's the kind of day it's been. So in a way, it's made full circle, the bathroom stories. It's 12:59. I'll keep talking for one more minute, and I'll tell you that we do this every day. We're trying to figure it out. We're on YouTube Super Chat and Facebook Live. We're going to see if we can hook up a Twitter stream also in the future. It's just a fun way to pass the hour. If you haven't, may I invite you to tune in nightly to my 8 p.m. Eastern show. It's a show called The Ezra Levant Show, and we have a long monologue that's more produced and a couple of interviews every day. And I also read my fan mail and hate mail. So if you're a subscriber, we'll see you then. If not, we'll see you back here tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern time. Until then, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, keep fighting for freedom.